everybody. Welcome to today's video blog Q&A chat with our special guest director, Ned Lott. I'm Jules Giselle with voiceovers.com, and we're excited to share some valuable insight from a buyer's perspective. So without further ado, let me introduce him. Ned, thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great to be with you.
Yeah, and I guess let's get started. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, Ned Lott. I've been in the animation business probably about 25 years, and everything from video games to apps to books on tapes. And for years, when I worked at Disney, I got into dubbing a lot of the Studio Ghibli Miyazaki films, and that led me to doing a lot of international animated projects where they want US voices for their movies. So it'll be animated somewhere around the world, and then they'll come here for the actors. And so that's usually when I get involved, which is great. I still work with a lot of the studios, Disney and Warner Brothers and Nickelodeon, for various things here and there, but I'd say the bulk is really independent animation.
What kinds of things do you look for in an audition, say perhaps, how many takes? Does that even matter to you? As far as slating or not slating, do you have any preferences? What gets your attention in that read?
Yeah, I'd say, I always like a variety. I know there's some casting directors that will cast the same people over and over again, and I always like to find who's the best voice for that character and that fits it the best. And I'm always, because I work with a lot of writers, I work with a lot of executive producers and directors that have a very specific thing they want. So I always say have the first take be the way the specs ask, and really with not much improv or anything like that. And then the second or third take could be something where it's something we never thought of. And so I always a lot of real casting. They want the real voice.
What do you mean by real voice? Some of the people watching may not know. How would you explain that?
So it used to be, when you're casting for an animated project, often it would get very cartoony sounding.
Right.
And the trend has been to kind of just be a real person. And don't put a cartoony character on it, just be real. But the problem is a lot of people make it like a live action soap opera voice or something where it's flat. There's no character at all. And I always remind people, remember, animators are animating you. So have a little more character in it, even if it is your real voice. And that's why I say sometimes that first take maybe is a little flatter if they feel uncomfortable. But maybe that second one where maybe there's more character and personality, things like that.
What would make you want to hire someone in addition to their performing, capabilities?
Yeah. Well, a lot of times just to make sure people are good at reading, because you can prepare an audition for, days or weeks before they audition. But I like to throw people sometimes copy they've never seen before and see if they can be spontaneous and have good acting skills based on a cold read. Because I find that very important, because sometimes we hire people where we don't have time to get them the scripts, or maybe it's being rewritten literally the night before they come into the studio, and I want to be able to make sure that they can handle that kind of read.
What are some of the deal breakers?
Some of the deal breakers, it's really comes down to acting. I could always tell if there's a poor actor in the room, and often it's like they don't have a shot at all, even right out of the gate. So it's really poor acting, poor reading skills. What's funny too is a lot of times I'll get auditions that are poor quality, and I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I'm amazed how often those people don't make it into the callback round or anything like that. Because often the quality reflects on their strength in acting, which is kind of interesting. And I know you have like a great system for when you go on the road and you set up in a hotel or something like that. And that makes a big difference. Yeah.
It does make a difference. And just, being aware that this industry, and obviously this because you're on the side of like, oh, we need this yesterday, right? And it needs to be done. And so being prepared that not that you need to be tied to your studio at home all day, but if you do happen to have to go out and about, have something that you can set up shop in a way that is still going to create some good quality sounding stuff that's necessary in a pinch should that come up. And
Yeah.
it does. What would get you to rehire someone as opposed to not rehire them?
There's something about a comfortable acting environment where the person just owns the character and you end up creating in the session and the
Mm.
character becomes alive. And there's sometimes where it's like pulling teeth to get out that acting from my direction. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes maybe they're not just quite getting it, or I really have to work to get 10 takes, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you move on and the session ends up going, double than it was supposed to. And
Right.
that's not helpful for the rehiring situation. What's helpful is when, people are getting pretty one or two takes kind of thing, up to three, we can
Mm-hmm.
move on, come back
Yeah.
if we need to. They're versatile, they take direction well. It's easy on the ears, and it literally
Mm-hmm.
becomes the character. So when I'm looking at the character and I'm hearing the voice, I am 100% in belief that that voice is coming out of that character.
That's
And
great.
the key is really how people take direction, how smoothly the session goes with their character. If it's really a struggle to get out what I'm asking for, and sometimes I'm just pulling teeth trying to get what I'm looking for, and it takes 10 takes, that can easily be a deal breaker, where it's like, we end up paying more money for the studio because of the actor. I mean, the whole point is they're supposed to be making our life easier. And
Right.
obviously there's certain characters that require a lot of care, but it's really comes down to how they take direction, how their acting is, how
Mm-hmm.
their grasp of voice. Sound alikes, a lot of times the sound alike will be, you know, it'll take a while because it's like peeling an onion. You have to get all these little points across,
Mm-hmm.
and we still get what we want, even though it takes a while. There's other
Mm-hmm.
times where they just slip in and out of it constantly. And that can be a
Mm.
deal breaker where maybe their ear, they're just not hearing it. So it kind of goes
Right.
both ways. So it's
Right.
really looking for how smooth things
Mm-hmm.
go, where it's like, wow, this is a pleasurable experience and they're having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not stressful from an acting standpoint. And I'm like, I'd love to bring them back again, because
Right.
they made the character come alive. Flexibility is huge. Things can suddenly change.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people are busy, but it's just the attitude of, like you say, I'm here to work with you. Let's get this done. Um, you know, and just where they're able to take direction without having kind of a preconceived opinion.
Mm.
I've had people where sometimes I'll give them a direction and they'll go, no, I think it should be like this.
Right.
I'll go, no, we actually have to go this way. And they'll go, no, it needs to be like this. And that's not helpful. They don't know the big picture a lot of times.
Right.
Well, I
Right.
may ask them, I may say, hey, what do you think? Why don't you try something different here? That's
Mm-hmm.
great. And I sometimes have people where I'll have the take I want, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll go, no, any way I can do it again? I go, no, I'm good. I said, if I'm not good, I'll let you know. So,
Right.
right. But every now and then we won't getting quite what we want,
Yeah.
and they'll say, what if I tried this? And then they do it. And sometimes it's like, wow, that's perfect. So I love that when an actor can bring something to it.
Right.
Like you say, just not so rigid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Is there any uh etiquette that you expect?
yes, I mean, sometimes I'll give like an actor or even a student that's getting into it, I'll give them my email or something like that and say,
Mm-hmm.
that's if you have any questions about the business or anything. But when it comes to like, auditioning or hiring, to have people constantly bugging you about, what do you think? What's going to happen? What's the schedule? Do you have any decision yet? It's just definitely not appropriate. But every now and then they might find me somehow,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the reasons I don't do Twitter, because I don't want people wondering where I am. Because
Yeah.
like, what if I do a session and I didn't cast them, and then I say, hey, I'm at such and such place recording for this role, and they're like, wait, I tried out for that role.
Yeah.
So it's better. I always love Charlie Adler's. His whole thing is he does the audition, then he walks out of the room and forgets about it.
And there's one thing, obviously we've known each other a very long time. And there was one thing that you mentioned in one of the workshops, this was a few years ago, and it's still, I think it resonated with me, where, rejection and selection. I remember you had this really great analogy about that. Would you
Yeah.
be able to kind of speak about that just really quickly?
Yeah, it's selection, not rejection. So when we're casting for a role, it's like there's these certain flavors we want in that. I always use the example of a combination pizza. There's certain flavors you want in that piece. And the other day I had a great combination pizza during this COVID-19 time. Got the takeout, given them our business, which is good to do right now. It was awesome, but there weren't pineapples on that combination pizza. I love pineapple, but it wasn't the right flavor.
Right.
But when I want a Hawaiian pizza, I want the pineapple on there.
Right.
So you may be the pineapple voice that doesn't fit the movie that's a combination pizza.
Right.
But man, when I'm doing that Hawaiian movie, you're perfect for it. So
I love that.
yeah. So it's not rejection. It's not saying you're a bad actor. You didn't get this part because you're terrible. No, it's let me save you for something that fits your flavor.
Right. And that's where people need to understand that, I think, especially when you're just getting into the industry, and it can be overwhelming where you might, pound that pavement and you're submitting and maybe not getting the response quite yet. Sometimes it takes a little while. It just does. There's no time limit on it. It's just when it happens, it happens. And I think having that mentality going into it and knowing that, hey, I'm just going to be the best version of me that I can, find the niche that makes you and me, and just put it out there, not try to be all things to all people, which I tell that to people all the time. If you try to do everything, then you'll never find the one thing that you're a master at. Master the one thing. Maybe it's two things, but regardless, make that the thing, and that, will be, I think, the weight that carries you through in finding the success.
Yeah, that's huge. And even for like demos, a lot of people think they need to put, 12, 15 voices on there. I'm only good at maybe 2, and make it an awesome 2 voices,
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be 13 or whatever.
Exactly.
Because, once they put on less professional stuff on there, that's the grade they get, is the weaker voices.
Right. So it's important to know that, and I think that's definitely good that we touched on that. What would you recommend 3 do's and 3 don'ts that talent should do or avoid doing?
Okay, that's cool. So I would say, again, what we talked about earlier, having a high quality setup and a portable setup, that's huge. Because, you just never know when they might be called, and they want to be prepared for that. Definitely work on the skill. Some of the top people I work with are always trying to improve on their skill with either classes or workout groups. Some do theater, some do improv. I love the actor that just keeps on training, so to speak.
Yeah.
Always. And then, like we just talked about with the demos, go on the strengths, don't go on weak voices. Keep it as strong as possible.
Right.
And I think for don'ts, I would say you don't need to ever say you're sorry or apologize. I've so often people make a flub in a line and they just apologize. And I remember we worked with Michael J. Fox once and James Earl Jones, and neither of them would apologize when they would flub. They would go right back to the line and do it again.
Just pick up.
Just a pickup, and that's learning from the best. And then this is just an interesting one I've run into a lot lately, but sometimes I'll send out audition sides that have another character in it. And the person auditioning will get somebody in their family to read the other line. And that's just not helpful at all, because I have to edit that other person out completely when I'm getting the stuff ready for meetings and stuff. And it's not going to help them at all hearing this other actor.
And it's giving you more work to do.
It's not helping them, because they want to hear them, And
that's definitely good.
And this is just a funny one, but never leave a phone message for me in character and make me guess who you are.
That's happened. The fact that you bring that up, that's actually kind of funny.
Yeah, at Disney that happened all the time.
Oh my goodness.
People would call out of the blue in some random character voice and leave a message. Guess who this is? or even worse when it wasn't a message, when I'd pick up the phone. So.
That's too funny. Well, there you go. Those are some really awesome do's and don'ts. Good things. I mean, this is some really valuable stuff. Now, for our final thoughts, what would you say that talent can do to make your job easier in that whole casting process, or how can they really wow you in some way, shape, or form? What would you say that that would be?
Well, I love when the actor walks in and is exactly what I'm looking for, so I can go home for dinner. That's a good way to wow me. Just say, here I am. I'm your solution.
Right. I came to put out the fire. There's always a fire, trust me. Oh my goodness. That's excellent.
I would say, it's be versatile. It's be prepared, if there's prep work to be done, and just take direction well. And we're just, we want to have a blast when we're doing it, and create the perfect character. And when I look at that character picture and I'm hearing that voice coming out, where I believe it, I'm 100% convinced that voice comes out of that character.
Yes.
And that's one way talent can make my life easier, is when they're that voice coming out of that character.
Right. That's the magic.
And with the sound alike, they make my life better when I click on them and I think I'm listening to the original. Then I look back and I realize it's them. That also makes my life easier.
There you go. Well, those are all awesome things that you've shared with us. Is there anything else?
Have fun, something about voiceover, something about it where it can actually be a joyful experience going through the process.
Right. It can.
Be joyful with it.
Yeah. You are just filled with so much valuable insight and information that we so appreciate you for sharing some of it. And I know that's just a sliver on the grand scheme of it. There is so much, much more. But again, thank you for joining us here at voiceovers.com, and we will see you later.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.